Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, hey there. It's Kristin. How are you doing? Are you ready for Hush? I have just a few items of news. Jenny has unfortunately lost her voice, so I'm here by myself. She's traveling. She hasn't actually lost her voice, but it seemed thematic at the very least. Since she's not here, I'm starting a new segment so she has no say in whether we do it or not, because now it's begun, called Spooky News. I'm starting this segment. I mean, it is almost Halloween, but also we do a show about vampires. And also, last week, 2 teenage girls baked the ashes of one of their grandfathers into sugar cookies and brought those cookies to school, and some of the students ate them knowing that they were ash cookies, and some of them ate them not knowing that they were eating ash cookies, and I can't stop thinking about it. I want to make sure you know about it. I understand that there's a lot of complicated pieces of this whole story, but at the end of the day, I just pictured Regina George and Wednesday Addams coming together, falling in love, having a baby, raising the baby, and then this is that baby. It just baking your relatives' ashes into sugar cookies and bringing them to school is definitely, it just needs to be in a future teen movie, I think. So that's my vote. I also wanted to let you know that when I looked up the story just now to find out if I needed to share any other details with you, it looks like the people over at Live Science, either Live Science or livescience.com, I don't know, they talked to a microbiologist, Rolf Halden, who's the director of the Center for Environmental Health Engineering at Arizona State University's Biodesign Institute, who let us know that there's actually not a health concern from eating the ashes of a human being in a cookie. So, in case you had interest, in case your interest was piqued, in case you wanted to know some of the science behind this, in the cremation process, any sort of bacteria or disease or anything like that, it's gone. So these sugar cookies, although there's a lot of moral questions surrounding this story, they were safe. They were not going to hurt anybody. And I, for one, really would like to meet these 2 girls. I just want to know what the motivation was. What was the story? Where did it come from? How did it happen? Anyhow, let's get to some news relevant to Buffering the Vampire Slayer. First of all, I want to remind everyone that we now have socks. Buffering the Vampire Slayer socks. You heard me, right? We also have a new t-shirt that's a football jersey t-shirt that says Buffy Forever on the front and Summers 01 on the back. It's real nice. It's done in Sunnydale colors. And then, of course, we have all of the regular things that you're accustomed to by now. Smash the Demon Lizard Patriarchy, support your local girl gang, support your local alewife. I mean, there's a lot of support to be given out there. So you can find all of that by going to bufferingthevampireslayer.com and clicking on shop. The holidays are approaching, not just Halloween. Da, 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 da. Okay, this is what happens when Jenny's not here, I sing. Another thing that I want to talk to you about is that last week, our sister podcast, Angel on Top, put out their episode for Hero. And listen, all of the episodes of Angel on Top are phenomenal. And I love the show Angel. But I want to talk to you about the fact that when we get to I Will Remember You and we turn the corner to Hero, we're getting into some really good shit over in Angel Land. So if you have not watched the series or if you haven't started a rewatch with us, I just want to tell you, as someone who's doing it, You should do it. The episode that Brittany and Laura put out for Hero was brilliant and beautiful and wonderful. I'm not going to tell you too many details about it, but there are some things that are like, wow, but I don't want to spoil them for you. So if you haven't yet gotten on the Angel on Top train, I highly recommend getting on now. Two other things, not really related to trains, unless you're going to take a train to London or to Seattle. Jenny and I will be out at the Vampire Ball in London from November 30th to December 2nd, and you can join us there. Not only can you join us, but you can join people like, I don't know, James Marsters, Julie Benz. So many cast people from the show are gonna be there. Also, from January 19th to 20th, we'll be in Seattle at PodCon, where you won't find as many actors from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but you will find literally so many of your favorite podcasters, including us, if you like us. I mean, you're listening now, so I'm hoping you like us, but time will tell. So please join us at one of those two events, or both. You know what? If you're really feeling it, join us at both. Again, that's November 30th to December 2nd at the Vampire Ball in London, and January 19th to the 20th at PodCon in Seattle. Now, I am going to break a wooden box so that Jenny can get her voice back, and we can get into this episode.
Hello, and welcome to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where we are watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one at a time, spoiler-free. I am Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I am Kristin Russo, and this week we're talking about Season 4, Episode 10. Hush. I didn't have a plan, but I was like, maybe I'll just never talk again. Maybe
Just like an hour and a half of a silent episode.
Of complete silence.
Sure.
Stay tuned at the end of this podcast every week for an original song written by us, recapping the Buffy episode we're discussing. And this week, we didn't write the song, did we, Jenny?
Well, not exactly. Some of us did, and some of us didn't.
Some of us did, and some of us didn't. I did not. Jenny, of course, did. And who did you get to work with?
I got to write this episode's song with friend of the pod and excellent dude, Rishikesh Hirway, who you may know from his podcasts Song Exploder and The West Wing Weekly, his musical projects, The 1 a.m. Radio, and Moors. And also, oh my God, he scored Kristin's new favorite show, Everything Sucks.
Oh, I love it so much. And I love Rishi so much.
He's the best. I had the greatest time of all times making this jam with him.
And Jenny, now is a great time maybe to let you know. I know we're like really going off script here, but this is a big episode. We're going to do a lot of things differently than we normally do. And one thing that we want to tell you is that Hush is a pretty big deal. We were able to interview Doug Jones. We were able to interview Camden Toy. Those are the two lead gentlemen. Okay? Not only that, but we also sat down with Rishi. I talked to you both about the creation of this song and some of the really rad shit that you did. Not only that, but we also have Kate Leth with us this week doing an ASMR fashion watch. Jenny was going to explain to me what ASMR actually is. I get it's like sex for your ears. Is that what it is?
No? I feel like the ASMR community might not like
I have
that.
no idea. That's just like what I perceived.
Let's not look it up. Let me just try to explain it to you.
Okay, great.
It's people talking really quietly.
Oh.
And sometimes they're like making noises, like crinkly noises or like brushes on microphones.
And it's like satisfying.
All of this like this stuff that like makes your like scalp tingle and makes you like relax and stuff.
Right. So why is sex for your ears not accurate? It seems accurate still to me.
Okay, I'm open to that. I just don't want to offend
Pleasure
anyone.
for your ears. So we had so much content. And obviously Jenny and I have like 400 pages of notes to talk to you about because it's
naturally
fucking Hush. So we're actually going to do 2 episodes. I know. Not 1, but 2. We're going to do our regular Hush discussion of the episode with Kate and with a snippet of our interview with Doug Jones. But then next week for Halloween, woo. Sorry, a little early a woo here.
Oh my God.
But next week, we're going to do the full interview with Doug, the full interview with Camden, the interview with Rishi, and the second version of the song, which you'll learn about it. You'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We really should get back on script, for goodness sake.
Yes.
One thing I want to say after letting you know about the song that we read every week is that if you haven't yet started listening to our Angel podcast, Angel on Top, hosted by Brittany Ashley and Laura Zach, what are you doing?
What are you waiting? If you're waiting for an invitation, this is your invitation.
It is. And last week, their episode was Hero, which is a fucking incredible episode of Angel. Like, shit in Angel is really starting to pick up the pace.
Yeah, it's getting
So
intense
you
over
might
there.
want to jump on that
Get on
wagon. Get on over there. Yeah, that's right.
Whew. Okay, well, shall we proceed? Hush was written and directed by Joss Whedon, with cinematography by Michael Gershman and original score work by Christoph Beck. It originally aired on December 14th, 1999, just 3 days
Thank you.
before Kristin turned 19.
Thank you. You're not the only one with a birthday around here.
True.
God damn it.
True.
This is the one with the gentleman. Like, let's just.
This is the one with the gentleman. This is the one where.
This is the one with Tara.
This is the one with Tara. This is the one with that wild vending machine. This is the one
with the overhead projector.
Oh my God. This is the one where Olivia's back in town.
Oh, yeah. But according to boring IMDb, this is the one where, when everyone in Sunnydale loses their voice, the Scooby Gang must silently solve the mystery of the monsters who stole their ability to speak. This is the one about communication. This is the one about sex and love. This is the one where Buffy kisses Riley, or
for the
Riley
first time in a dream, and then also for the first time IRL.
Yes, and also they get some theme music. Okay, we just
yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself because I am, as you can tell, very excited.
Yeah.
So why don't we just jump right in?
Yeah.
Jenny?
I also just want to let everybody listening know that in preparation for this, I took regular notes on a regular watch this episode like 5 times in the last few weeks because working with Rishi and preparing for this. And I also have spent some time with the director's commentary. So I'm going to be interjecting small bits from what Joss has to say about the episode in the director's commentary on the DVD special features.
Yeah. We did a lot more research. I also read a bunch of articles. I sort of combed through things. We wanted to make sure that we were catching all that we could catch because this is one of the best episodes of the entire series. It's regaled. Is that the right word? Mm-hmm. Regaled as one of the top episodes.
Oh wait,
of the
no, it's not. That's you regale someone with a story, a thrilling retelling of something that happened.
What is it? It's a
renowned. Yes.
Well, it's a renowned episode, but it's recognized, maybe.
Sure.
Recognized, wildly.
What just happened?
Widely.
Are you okay?
Yes. It's widely recognized as one of the top episodes of Buffy. And
for sure.
In my memory, of course, I've only seen it through once, the series, but in my memory, Hush is, I think, my second favorite episode of all of them. My first favorite episode being an episode in season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Take your guesses.
Mm-hmm.
So all that to say, this is some serious shit. This episode was nominated. It was the only episode of Buffy nominated for an Emmy for writing.
Hell yeah.
Which is doubly brilliant because, of course, there is how many minutes of that? You know, like the majority of the episode has no dialogue.
Okay. So we open. Yes, it's time to go back to the Psych 101 lecture hall. Where Professor Walsh is doing this whole language versus communication thing. And she's like, need a volunteer, Buffy.
Right. And she says, I mean, like, this episode is crafted in every way brilliantly. The first lines of the episode where obviously we're in a dream sequence here. And I think this might be my number 2 dream sequence. Number 1, of course, being Faith, Buffy, and the cat.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I think it's done really powerfully. It makes me very uncomfortable, but I think that's the point.
Right.
And it opens on Walsh saying, talking about communication, talking about language, that's not the same thing. The thoughts and experiences that we don't have a word for. She sort of talks about like how the moment that you like realize an idea before you put it into words is like the biggest, most powerful thing. It's really poignant, and it sets us up. There are a few things that set us up for what this episode is about, which is kind of that, like that talking isn't necessarily the best way to communicate, or sometimes when we have the ability to speak, we don't communicate.
Right. This is not about communication, but can we just talk really quickly about what Buffy is wearing?
Yeah, we can.
In this scene. I wrote down what the hell is up with this. She's got an asymmetrical shirt and a matching silken cuff. This is maybe not the most insightful thing, but in the commentary track, Joss refers to it as a Flintstone looking shirt, Pebbles and Bam Bam.
I mean it is.
Yeah, it totally looks like pre-sewing machines.
Yeah. They were just cut that and
fashioning things to wrap around your body from the turquoise animal that you hunted and killed.
Right. So Professor Walsh is like, Buffy, why don't you come and lie down on my desk?
Yes, the word when you start college, eventually you're going to hear that sentence, lie down on my desk.
Right.
What?
And then she looks at Riley and she says, be a good boy. And then Buffy says, if I kiss you, it'll make the sun go. No, Riley says, if I kiss you, it'll make the sun go down. And what my biggest question is, what the fuck is going on with Buffy? You know what I mean? Is Buffy in Buffy's subconscious? Obviously, we're getting to the prophetic part of the dream. But
right.
Before we get to the prophetic part of the dream,
love is inextricably intertwined with darkness, or maybe passion.
But why is Walsh being sexy in her day? Sleeping daydream?
I think that maybe your interpretation is that Walsh is being sexy.
Well, Walsh is being
I think Walsh is being simultaneously evocative narrator.
I don't know. This gave me secretary vibes, go file that paper. And we're not yucking anyone's yum, but I think because it
just
was
from
Walsh,
professorial,
it made me feel uncomfortable. I felt in Buffy's dream that Walsh was real attracted to Buffy and Riley making out. You didn't get that?
No, I just thought it was all illustrative.
Oh.
I
guess my mind is in the gutter.
Well, or I'm just oblivious.
Well, don't worry, Jenny, because we're going to turn the corner into some Freddy Krueger shit in this dream. Can't even shout, can't even cry, the gentlemen are coming. Sounds a lot like 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Also sung by small girls with bleach blonde hair.
Totally.
So this is I like to punch up a Freddy reference when I can, and that's what's happening here. Just very, very Freddy, which is, of course, as we'll talk about the gentleman, this whole episode is sort of fairy tale based, and I feel like Freddy Krueger is rooted in a very similar
it's sort of the intersection of fairy tale and urban legend.
Right.
Freddy Krueger.
Right, exactly.
So yes, she's staring this girl down who's singing this creepy song, of course, holding a weird little wooden box.
Mm-hmm.
And then Riley puts his hand on her shoulder, but then when she turns,
dun, dun, dun! Oh, you're right. You know what's funny is that when I took my notes, I was like, ooh, this is the first time we see the gentleman's feet, and ooh, this is the first time we see the gentleman's face. But that's outside of her dream. I forgot that we see the face in her dream first.
Mm-hmm.
We see the face. We see the face of a Doug Jones.
Nice.
And then Buffy wakes up. Because, of course, it's terrifying. And that's kind of what happens at the scariest part of a dream, unless you're in Nightmare on Elm Street, and then you die.
Right.
But if you're not in Nightmare on Elm Street, you wake up.
You wake up and your friends make fun of you because you were sleeping in class.
Yes. And so, Willow's making fun of Buffy, and then they go out into the hall, and Riley's making fun of Buffy. And Willow's like, gotta go do a thing.
Yeah, smooth.
In Willow's entire life, she has never thought of one possible reason for her to leave. Ever. She's always literally gotta go do a thing. It's you've had all these mess ups. You think at one point in her life,
you just come up with one story.
Gotta go file my nails. Gotta go change my shoelaces. Gotta go
study at the library.
Tie-dye my shirt.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. So Willow turns into like flirt Detective Willow. And she's like hiding behind a fucking notebook that's open to see what's happening.
Dude.
It's a lot. It's really funny. And I just want to say that the like level of sexting, it's not sexting because they're not texting, but I don't know why Riley and Buffy's conversation made me think
Sulking.
of sexting.
Sulking.
Oh, like walking, like sexy walking.
Talking.
Oh, so but like, I'm sorry. Buffy's like, or Riley is like, was I in your dream? And Buffy's like, yeah. And he's like, is that right? And then
oh my God,
she's like, you had a cameo, more like a feature role. And I'm like,
and then he's like, romantic lead.
Right? They're like, it's just pretty hot and heavy for like hallway conversation.
Yeah, for two people who can't get it together to fucking kiss in the next scene.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
Exactly. But and this is like, we hit the theme a few times in the episode before they lose their voices. We hit it with Buffy and Riley first. Then we hit it with Xander and Anya, and then we hit it with somebody else.
We'll get there.
I think Willow and Tara in the Wicca group.
Oh yeah.
It sort of like we're seeing illustrated that words are not necessarily helping people in this episode get to where they need to get to. And we see it happen the first time here with Riley and Buffy, where they're, of course, keeping a major secret from each other. He doesn't know she's the Slayer. Right. She doesn't know he's G.I. Joe. You know what I mean? So they go out and, like, I don't even know what happens.
She's all like petroleum. And he's all like grading papers. And they're maybe going to kiss. And then she's like, what papers?
Yeah.
What papers are you grading? We had finals already. Whatever. They're like lying to each other. It's a whole thing. Listen, I need to just go back for 1 second because we didn't talk about when they actually kiss in the dream. Go back if you will and just observe how big Mark Blucas's hand is on Sarah Michelle Gellar's body. He basically could like dunk with her. His hands are so big on her tiny body. The end. Thanks for
probably
listening.
A fanfic that involves Buffy being dunked.
Backpedal.
I'm glad we went there though. And right, and the scene ends with Buffy basically tangling herself in her words, them being like awkward and not kissing, which was about to happen, and I'm kind of glad they didn't because it like just didn't seem like a great place for your first kiss. It seemed like a very seventh grade place for your first kiss.
Yeah,
right outside of the classroom.
You need some mood lighting.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I just want to pop in here with some commentary from Joss.
Oh.
Right around this point in the episode, he's talking about how he outlined the whole episode, but he like didn't, even though he like knew all of the plot points, he didn't know like what it was about like emotionally or like at the human core or whatever. And he was like talking about how like once he started like actually writing, he was like figuring out the whole like when people stop talking, they start communicating. He said something very specific that I just want to repeat that I thought was a cool sentence.
Yeah.
He said, as soon as you say something, you've eliminated every other possibility of what you might be talking about.
That's like basically what Walsh is saying. It's
totally.
The moment that you have the thought before it becomes a word is so much more powerful than
when you try to
the word
effectively communicate it.
Which is probably why poetry was invented, right, Jenny?
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
Yeah.
And music, like there's still truth in the fact that before you speak it, it's probably more powerful than it is in any form. In your mind, in your imagination. The reason why I tend to always love a book more than the movie created from the book. Because, you know, what I make in my mind, although that is involving words I'm reading off of paper, but it's like the reverse. It's like I read the words off the paper and in my mind it becomes something so large.
Right.
And that sort of can't ever be communicated or contained in a form. Our minds are more powerful than anything that we can speak.
Totally. And like once you see Daniel Radcliffe, there's like no further, your brain is like, aha, this is Harry Potter.
Yes.
Forever will Daniel Radcliffe and Harry Potter be intertwined in my mind. And like that, like some corner of the thing which previously existed in your imagination has become like cemented.
Like blunted or, right. Well, and like the other pieces are sort of like tamped down to fit within Daniel Radcliffe.
Sure.
Right? It makes me think of, and not to get too, I mean, we have so much to talk about here, but the first time I had that experience, and I know we're sort of like a little removed from what the actual concept here was, but I read Misery as a kid, and I was so scared by that book that I threw it across the room a couple of times while reading. It was, I think, like...
You love throwing books across the room.
Well, I used to throw Jenny's books across the room, but that was just for fun. I mean, it's just like, it was funny. It was funny when she was reading Game of Thrones to pick the book out of her hands, throw it across the room, and laugh.
Yeah,
and
funny.
see her get annoyed.
That's the word
hilarious.
that I would pick.
But this was a fear throw, and I think it was my most visceral experience with a book up till that point. I was like 13 or 14 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched the movie, and I was so excited to watch the movie, and I was so let down. And the movie is, you know, so
Movie
respected.
rocks.
Yeah, Kathy Bates, like, come on. But it just couldn't hold a candle to the fear that I had instilled, like, within myself, in my own imagination.
Totally. Hey, speaking of poetry from a minute ago, don't you just love watching Giles recite this poem from Buffy's dream?
Oh my God. Also, Giles's desk is in the middle of the room, and
Dude, I know!
I didn't ever notice it until this episode.
I don't know if it ever has. I feel like
it has, because the camera always gets it from all angles. I mean, I guess that we definitely have had the ability to realize this before this episode, I think.
I blame them. I think they've moved things around.
But, like, it's also kind of cool to have a desk in the middle of the room.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. It's a little, like, centerpiece. It's
the
heart of Giles's apartment is his desk where he works.
Anyway, this is my favorite episode of The Odd Couple.
Yes.
Love seeing these two roommates from different worlds working it out.
Spike crumbling up Weetabix in his blood for the texture.
So gross.
Sick. But also hilarious.
We've got Xander and Anya.
Yeah, so
rolling up.
Right. You don't listen to what I say. This is shitty. This is actually where we're going to get our first patriarchy jingle, I believe. Because Anya's like, you don't listen to what I say. You don't care about how I feel. And fucking Xander says, you really did turn into a real girl.
Yeah, pick your moments, dude.
The patriarchy! But we're coming right out of this patriarchy moment to Anya. And so Anya is not thwarted by this bullshit. And she comes right back to him and says, see, you make jokes about my pain. Like, she's fucking on it because she's Anya. But these two, this is kind of like number two, hitting it over the head. Their words are not expressing what they feel inside. Well, that's not true. Anya is expressing very clearly. But they're...
Well, yeah, I think Anya is like kind of like the most effective communicator in a way, or like the most willing communicator, because newly human, she's basically like a baby.
Yeah.
Except she has
a
like
hot baby.
hot baby. God damn it. She's like an infant in that her emotions are all like relative, you know, they feel brand new to her because it's been 1,000 years since she was a human. So she's just like totally like riding every single wave that happens, and she has no reservations, and she has the, you know, the ability to use language to communicate.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like a baby who just cries. You dumb baby.
We take Anya's like forthcoming speech to the next level when she walks inside. She's like, all you care about is lots of orgasms. And Xander goes into his own turtle shell, a turtle shell of his own making. And Spike is like, tell me more.
Yeah, go on. I want to hear more about Xander's orgasms.
And then this is a whole like, we don't even know. I don't even know where the sex arrows are hitting in this scene, because then Xander says to Giles, my mom said you wanted me to swing by. And I say, what? So does this mean that Giles and Xander's mother are still in communication since the raspberry fruit punch?
I think that Mrs. Harris just picked up the phone when Giles called and Xander wasn't home.
You don't think Giles is like, it's Mr.
Message.
Giles?
I don't think he is,
I'm
because
missing your raspberry fruit punch.
I think that Mr. Giles is probably preoccupied with his incoming visitor.
Yes.
Which he is about to tell us about. But before he does, I want to inject one more piece of commentary. So Joss is talking over the scene where Xander and Anya are having this whole conversation, like before they go into the house, and he's talking about how they're not communicating with each other, even though they're like saying a bunch of words and blah, blah, blah. And he just like stops in the middle of a sentence and is like, "Oh hey, they're having a weird hair phase."
Oh wow. Yeah, actually,
which accurate.
And Anya and Willow are really starting to like find the same hair groove at this point. They've got very similar hair.
Yeah, I think they're the lines on that chart, on that graph.
Yeah, they
meet
and then
met,
immediately
and now they're gonna
diverge
once more.
So of course Anya, Giles says, "Yo, Spike is staying at your place," and they're all like,
and Xander's like, "What?" And Spike's like, "What?" And Anya's like, "What?" I love that they like stacked it in order of indignance.
Yeah, totally. And fucking Giles is like, "I have a friend coming," and Anya's like, "An orgasm friend?"
And it's like, yeah.
Yes. O for Olivia, O for orgasm
wow.
friend. There it is, folks. And Olivia is coming back to town.
Ugh, Olivia is such a okay.
I mean,
She's
Olivia
such a babe.
Olivia might be the babeliest of all the babes in Sunnydale. I mean, she doesn't live in Sunnydale, which is maybe why, because she has time to like, like center herself and
sure.
what have you. She's not always fighting evil. And then this episode is just ridiculous. We cut right from Olivia, the orgasm friend, heading back to Sunnydale to the Wicca group. Now, when I take notes, Jenny, I write classroom, Giles' house. I write where the scene happens.
Sure.
This one got all caps. Wicca group, hell yes. I got so excited that I couldn't even contain the like category or the scene of this.
Sure.
We come together, daughter of Gaia. Yeah, you fucking do.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you do, you stupid witches. These witches make no sense, Jenny. They make no sense at all.
I mean, I think it's weird to even refer to them as witches.
Right, because they're not. And Willow is like us, being like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, that's the expression on her face. They're all like, I'm going to make an empowering lemon bun.
I'm so mad about it.
And like, first of all, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm getting carried away. Just, mow over me, Jenny, if you need to mow over me. But I'm just going to have a lot of feelings about the Wicca group. I have a lot of feelings about Tara.
Who's that girl with the zigzag part?
The zigzag motherfucking part is something. I have a few things I remember from the series. You know what I remember? That fucking zab.
Zigzag?
That zigzag part is everything.
Yeah, it makes an impression.
So we see that, and then the fucking Wicca group is busy making fun of alewives, Jenny.
How
the Wicca group.
Dare they?
If this isn't like the epitome for like some of the shitty stuff that happens in queer culture, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, in any, like, it just, you're like, guys, did you read your fucking, but did you do, why are you in this group? Why?
Yeah, what are they all doing there?
What are they
want empowering lemon buns, I guess.
But it's like kind of like when you go to a yoga class and the whole thing is like athletic, and you're
they're playing like Britney Spears music and being like, now do 20 crunches.
Yeah, and you're like,
what? That's not
did you read anything about like where the foundational practice of yoga is originated from? You do know that like yoga is done to like get us in the mindset so we can meditate. Like, it's not about. That's how I feel about this Wicca group. This is how Willow feels about this Wicca group. And Tara, although she really doesn't have a way with her words, is also feeling like shit about this Wicca group. And
totally,
Willow and Tara have a connection here. This is their first connection.
Yeah,
they're like, how about spells? And like, they're fucking so rude to Tara. Tara stutters.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, Tara has a stutter and also like, is like anxious. I mean, you just tell right out of the gates with her. That she, she's got some stuff. And the stupid other girl is just like, everybody be quiet. Yes, Tara. And I want to take her eyeballs and yank them out of her. Why didn't the gentleman cut out that bitch's heart is what I want to know.
That is a good question.
Ooh. Sorry, Jenny.
No, you're just, I get it.
I'm so excited.
I get it. It's very exciting.
Okay.
A little bit more from the commentary track. Joss talks about how he wanted to introduce a couple people in this episode who aren't experienced in this world, so we would have like an audience proxy for like childlike terror. So we have Olivia and we have Tara, and we're like invested in them because we see people that we care about caring about them.
Ooh, that gave me the chills.
Because
they aren't like well-versed demon hunters and vampire. Yeah.
He also talks about Tara being introduced here as kind of like a new Willow, because Willow has gotten so confident and is continuing to like expand her power, and like she feels,
and yet Amy's still a rat.
The deprioritization of turning Amy back into a human is one of the biggest, most upsetting. It is a Sunnydale bombshell. It is fucked up. Who benefits? Who profits from keeping Amy a rat?
It really is so.
I posit that Willow benefits most from keeping Amy a rat because she's
the most
powerful witch in Sunnydale.
Wow. Okay, wow. This episode is getting us to so many places.
Yeah, that's not.
I didn't mean to derail you.
I think about it all the time. Especially
wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, why haven't they fucking dealt with Amy?
Just like watching something blue 4 times or whatever, like in a short span of time. I was like, God damn it! They've got her in the cage? Willow's doing more spells all the time.
Right.
Giles is a fucking grown-ass man who's been working with the dark arts for who knows how many decades.
Right.
Somebody get that girl back to humanhood. I am pissed. Okay. Thank you for listening.
Yes. So Willow's unpacking with Buffy about the Wicca group. Nowadays,
she's like, I'd like to float something bigger than a pencil someday. Oh, like a vending machine, perhaps?
Foreshadowing. Little tiny question I have here.
Yeah.
That goddamn dingo's poster is still up on the goddamn wall.
She still cares about
Even
us.
after everything that we witnessed in Something Blue, she has the poster up.
She still cares about us.
I just feel like in order for her to move on, she's got to take the poster down,
sure.
Jenny.
Yep, and burn it.
Oh, you know what my next note is?
What?
Sweaty hunks for Jenny is what I... That's what I wrote
Hell
down.
Yeah! That should be my next note. But instead it's Riley telling Forrest Buffy is special. And he says, I didn't hear you the first 486 times, which means this is the 487th time, which means that if he tells him 2 more times, it'll be 489 times, and that will be 420 plus 69 in the end.
What the fuck just happened?
Hell math?
Hell math. Jenny, that was some me wondering what the hell you're doing. Hell math, but thank you for it.
You're welcome.
Also, Forrest saying to Riley, like, thank God we're pretty, and like he doesn't like Buffy, and a lot of you have written into us to be like, could you please talk about the fact that Forrest is in love with Riley? So I just, a gasp that could only come from a girl who doesn't read our email.
Why? I never.
So I just want to put a pin in this, and I think we should all watch it as
see if anything
the season
develops.
unfolds. Yeah.
Can we please talk about the Spike and Xander sleepover?
Oh my God.
Because first of all, where did Xander get that amazing chair? I want it so bad.
It's a good chair.
Incredible chair.
Great chair to be tied
Second
to.
of all, he ties Spike to it all good and tight, facing his bed like 3 feet away. Dude, why? Why?
Also, like, I know Spike's like the enemy or whatever, but like, give the dude a magazine or something. Like, is he just gonna sit there all night watching Xander sleep? Like, and then we get Spike like imitating. Oh my God. Xander.
Yeah.
I feel like Spike has like one imitation of a lady, and it's always the same voice.
Yeah.
My next note is, hi, Olivia.
Yeah.
No small
Olivia's
talk, don't you
here.
think?
Hell yeah, baby.
Olivia's like, let's get down to fucking business.
Her accent is so great.
Her everything is so great. And that's really, that whole scene was just for us to scream about Olivia.
Yeah, she
And then
rocks.
we go to the fucking clock tower. A whole different kind of screaming will come out of this location.
Sure, yes.
The first scene, again, skipping, not counting when we saw the gentleman in the dream, because it's now real life. The first thing we see that introduces us to them is this hands slowly moving to the wooden box, opening the box, and like I'm doing it for Jenny. Jenny's like looking at me like, you're out of your mind, because I'm like, I can't talk about it without like doing it. But of course I can't do it because I'm not a trained mime. But it's so powerful.
Yeah, it's so great and creepy. And it reminds me of the time that I got a music box for Christmas and I was so excited, and then I opened it and then all of the voices in my whole town got sucked into it.
Wow, I can't believe you've never told me this story before.
Yeah, isn't that wild that like the same thing happened to me? It was such a like caper, like, you know, it was such a hassle to get to return all of the voices individually. I went door to door. It was a whole thing.
But this is creepy shit. And the, you know, Doug Jones is also plays a very important role in Hocus Pocus. And the way their voices are stolen visually is nearly identical to how the souls are visually stolen in Hocus Pocus. You see this sort of like white mist be sucked out. It's also similar to, I think, how Kathy was stealing Buffy's soul. Just a common effect in the late 90s.
Sure. They just figured out how to do that affordably.
Everybody was like, do that ghost effect, man. Do that ghost out of the mouth effect. So we see the voices of Sunnydale be stolen. We pan through many of the voices being stolen. My favorite is a post-coital Giles and Olivia. We get so much Giles and Olivia post-sex in this episode. Like, they fuck like many times.
Well, she's just in town for a limited time.
And desperate times call for desperate measures. It's like a double whammy of reasons to screw, you know?
Sure.
Also, I just want to say that the clock tower was built specially for this scene on the lot.
They modified an existing house.
Yeah. And it's very powerful with the shutters, or like not shutters, but like sort of the boards over the windows.
Yeah, and like the clock face is like it's kind of like a little too big for, like, you would never see a clock tower actually built like that, which makes it feel more like a fairy tale.
Right, exactly. Do we know where is that supposed to be on the campus, or is it supposed to be, I
think it's just in Sunnydale, like in the town. He talks in the commentary a lot about like we see these shots that we've never seen. Like the budget for this episode must have been bonkers because they built out a street like in a way that we've never seen. We always see the same little chunk of State Street all the time, but they built out like this whole neighborhood around the clock tower. Right. And we're able to see like way more of a span of town at one time in this episode than ever before.
Do you think that the clock tower continues to exist in Sunnydale, or do you think that like
it just appeared overnight,
right, and then like disappears?
It kind of feels like that
when their heads explode. Can't wait to get there. But right, it does. It feels, and maybe partially that's because of what you're saying, that like we've never seen any of these angles before. So we're like, is this Sunnydale, or like where are we? Because we really have been seeing the same shots, similar shots for many seasons now. And so we're about 14 minutes into the episode when the voices get taken.
Well.
And we hear a few voices, but not from our Scoobies, not from people in Sunnydale, but like there's like the news or whatever. But for the most part, this is when we stop with dialogue. And also it's where we fucking pan to the gentleman's face and we see that fucking smile.
Oh my God.
And we got the chance to talk to Doug Jones. We've mentioned it a couple of times already. We got the chance to talk to Camden Toy. We're going to play for you just a little bit of the Doug Jones interview now, but we'll have a second episode next week where we'll play the full interview with Doug, the full interview with Camden, and a special interview with Rishi. But I want you guys to hear just a little bit about this, especially this piece, because these smiles were initially, and you can see, I'm kind of repeating what's going to be in the thing, but you can see that the other gentlemen, that not the two leads, not Camden and Doug, but the other ones, their smiles are in their masks or whatever.
Right.
But Camden and Doug, that's their smile. So let's hear a little bit from, the amazing, brilliant Doug Jones. Doug Jones, our entire buffering verse is beside themselves, literally, that you're talking with us today. So thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with all of us.
Well, thank you for that beside yourself reaction. I was not expecting that.
Well, the internet doesn't lie. And I shared with the internet that you and I were going to be speaking today. And I think it's one of our most liked tweets in all of history. So that's just a little nod to how beloved your character is in the Buffyverse.
Oh, that's very kind. I just one episode. I was never expecting that, you know?
Yes, but what an episode. We're in, obviously, season 4, and people have just been waiting and waiting and waiting for us to get to Hush. The gentlemen are notorious. They embody, as you know, this silent, slow-moving horror that is the stuff of my nightmares. I think many of our nightmares. I'd love to start by talking about your physical presence, which obviously you bring to so many of your roles. I thought it would be cool to maybe hear about your training in physical acting and how you learned to do what it is that you do.
Actually, my training in physical acting started with my training in acting. I never set out to be monsters in my early days. I never thought that was a career option. I was inspired by sitcoms and variety shows when I was a kid. Like things that made you feel good, tap your toes and laugh. That's what I was after. Boy, was I wrong. Barking up the wrong tree. But in college at Ball State University in Indiana, I discovered the art of mime, and I joined a mime troupe there called Mime Over Matter. Get it?
I do.
Okay. And so it was that art form that really woke up my entire body to all of the visual communication that we do every day as just regular human beings who aren't mimes. So much is communicated through our posturing, our gestures, our body language, our facial expressions, so much. That it can change our words drastically. You can say get out of town in so many different ways with visuals that could be anything from joking to actually please get out of town, right? So I learned all that at an early age with performing with a mime troupe where words were not spoken. So we did not have the luxury of verbal dialogue. We had to use visual dialogue. So that was early training. I also at Ball State University, we were the Fighting Cardinals. And that meant that there was a mascot in a big bird suit. And I played Charlie Cardinal at the basketball games for my junior and senior year. So to manipulate a big red bird suit and make it come to life for an arena full of screaming fans was again very useful for what was to come.
Wow, from a bird suit to the scariest monster on television.
Right.
So how did you come to this part in particular? Like, how did you come to Buffy? Did you audition or did they seek you out for the part, having known your previous work?
Well, remember, this was 1999, so that's 19 years ago. And that's back before I had much of a name in the public eye. I was known by Creature Effects makeup people. Because I'd been already working with them for, roughly 10, 11 years by then. But a lot of casting directors did not know who I was. Creature people did, but like standard showbiz people did not. So a casting notice was put out in the breakdowns looking for these silent gentleman characters on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And my agent at the time knew of my background and knew of the creatures I'd played thus far in my career and just submitted me for an audition. So I did indeed get that call, went to the audition. It was straight to callbacks. So that means that the room was full of producers and Joss Whedon himself. So that was rather intimidating to walk into that. Didn't have any script or sides to work from. It's because it was a silent character. So we just kind of, off the cuff in the room, Joss said, okay, I want you to pretend like there's someone lying in front of you, and I want you to gently and gentlemanly cut his heart out, if you'd be, and smile as big as you can the entire time. So that's like, a little unsettling, sure. If you talk to Camden Toy ever, he was the other lead gentleman. The two of us were the two main ones, and I think there were 6 of us total. There was 4 other gentlemen that were featured around us, but we were the 2 focal ones. Camden and I have similar stories of that audition. What was really a compliment to both of us was that Joss liked our creepy smiles so much as people walking in off the street. He thought we both had the kind of smiles that made him get the heebie-jeebies. So he had Camden's and my makeup redesigned. But if you look at the background gentlemen, they have smiles kind of plastered on in the mask of their face. He had our makeup designed so that it would actually glue down to our own lips so that we could manipulate our own smile. And they put metallic dentures in our mouth so that we could use our own mouths and our own smiles because he liked ours better than what was than the actual design that was on the outside of the masks. So that was a last minute redo. It was a huge compliment to Camden and me.
Incredible. So is it a compliment to be told that you have a creepy smile?
In that world, absolutely. The highest compliment.
Wow. Doug Jones, thank you so much. And there is so much more of that interview, including I asked him about Hocus Pocus. And it's a great story. It actually might be my favorite story from the whole interview. So tune in next week for that and for much more about this brilliant episode. But let's get back into the moment by moment here, shall we, Jenny?
Slayers, they're just like us, peeing in the morning.
Yes.
Brushing their teeth.
Yes, it's true.
Bumping into somebody in their dorm hall who's crying. And then Buffy re-enters the room and Willow tries to say good morning. And it starts to become clear very quickly what is going on.
Right. And I love some of how they unpack this just resonated so much to me that at first they think they can't hear. Right. And that sort of makes sense because I do think that if this happened, that sort of would be the first place that your mind would go.
Right.
And then they sort of slowly put it together. But then there's this incredible moment where Xander tries to call Buffy and Buffy answers the phone and is what an idiot. And Xander's on the other end, what an idiot. But and part of this episode is how much those of us who can speak take for granted
that we can.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is really when the score, because you talked about, Jenny, who did this score?
Oh, Christoph Beck, who scores the show always.
Oh, okay. And this is just some of the most incredible scoring.
The score is working overtime as are all of the actors on the visual front.
Right.
Everybody is working super fucking hard to pick up the slack for the lack of dialogue.
Absolutely.
And knocking it out of the park. I have to, before we move on to Xander and Spike.
Yes.
I need to call something out.
Yes.
Okay. There is a darkness in Sunnydale that we have been watching for 3.5 seasons, but we have not named. That darkness is matching pajama sets. They are everywhere. They are a plague. Willow here is wearing a pair of pink with brown spot cow pajamas. I'm so mad. Later, a young gentleman who's going to get his heart cut out is wearing a plaid matching pajama set.
Yeah, it is a lot.
We've seen many matching pajama sets, but I can be silent no longer. Moving forward, I will be calling out any and all matching pajama sets. Imagine hooking up with a boy, a hunk.
I can't. Possibly.
Yeah, no, me neither. Imagine hooking up with a dude and going back to his dorm room and him being hang on, let me slip into something more comfortable. I'm a 19-year-old boy. Hang on. Here's my fucking plaid matching pajama set. I know that this was an era when matching pajama sets, I think, were more of a thing.
Yes,
still.
But I never had a pair.
I did. I had a bunch.
Oh, wow. Pot calling the kettle.
No, I'm not saying that I didn't participate. I'm just saying, moving forward, we need to call this out as we see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you for listening. Okay, so Xander can't talk, and he thinks Spike did it.
Spike is just one big eye roll.
Dude, so he does this thing, which I don't know if you all know. I'm sure all of you listening from the UK know, but I didn't know what this was until I went to the UK and did it and then found out I was doing something that was not polite. But Spike does basically a peace sign, but with the back of his hand facing Xander. And that is the same in the UK as giving the middle finger.
And I have to say it's way easier to do than the middle finger.
Right?
It takes a lot of coordination to just raise your middle finger, whereas these two, they just go, why is that? Our biology friends, or whatever you have to be skilled in to understand how the body works, I think it's biology. Why is it that it's easier to raise your pointer and your middle together than it is just to raise your middle?
Yeah. Oh, imagine if to flip somebody off, you had to do your ring finger.
The hardest terrible. One of all. Yeah. Wow.
Anyway.
So, Spike is super nonchalant. He's like, fuck off. Then we cut to the initiative. They can't speak. They can't speak to get clearance in the elevator.
Okay, and this like mustard gas or whatever starts like pouring out of the ceiling. And somehow they just like, what are these countermeasures if they just like get to the bottom of the elevator and they get out of the elevator and they're still alive? A, and B, the sign that Professor Walsh points to, just in case there was any confusion about this point, that sign, we've seen that elevator open before. That sign's never been there before.
Oh.
It was introduced for the gag for this episode.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, that's, to get a little general for a hot second, that's another part of the brilliance of this episode is that it's so terrifying and it's so dark and it's so deep, but it's also like full of these hilarious, and we're gonna get to the most hilarious
my God.
of all.
One of the greatest scenes
when we
in
get
this
to
show's
the overhead
history.
projector, but like it's an incredible meld of these two like genres almost that you very rarely see hand in hand like this. At least hand in hand where the effectiveness of the terror is so intact. It's so present. So Riley tries to use his breath on this, and I just want to talk about that because we do see people making
Olivia
noises, gasping,
for
and what
example.
have you. And I read on a very reliable source for anything biological, IMDb. But it sounds right. That voiceless sounds are those in which the vocal folds don't have to vibrate. Vowels are always voiced. Some consonants are voiced, but many are not. Voiceless consonants, T, P, K, T, P, K, those don't use the voice.
Oh, they're
percussive.
Of a tongue, right?
Right, exactly. These sounds can be made by a person even if their vocal folds were removed or damaged. So a gasp or a sigh can also be made without using the voice, in case we had any naysayers. And somebody wrote in and said, like, but why can't they whisper? And I could be wrong, but like based on my heavy research on IMDb about vocal cords, it sounds like you couldn't whisper an O, an A. Like you even in whisper, you couldn't make those noises that have to come from your throat, essentially. Right. So, okay. Wow.
Based on my inability to whisper any more quietly than I speak, I would have to agree that it is that it makes biological sense that you wouldn't be able to whisper if you had lost your voice.
Before we get on to the next bit of this, Jenny, why don't we hear a few words from some of our sponsors? Also, I say that every time, like a few words from some of our sponsors, but it's just more of us talking about our wonderful sponsors.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. And if you have sensitive skin, you're going to want to hear about their scientifically proven topical supplements. Free from over 1,500 chemicals and preservatives that can make skin red, irritated, or itchy, their products are safe for sensitive skin. It's just one of the reasons they've earned the Skin Safe seal of approval.
They've also earned the Jenny Owen Youngs and Kristin Russo seal of approval, if I do say so myself, Jenny.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using OneSkin for a few months, and after a few weeks, I remember it like it was yesterday. I texted Kristin and I was like, maybe she's born with it. I looked in the mirror that morning and was like, oh, things are happening, and I am happy.
I have used a million billion skin products, and I did not think that I was going to switch off of the skin like lotion, the moisturizer that I used and the under eye cream that I used, because I have used them for a little while and I really like them. And I've switched completely, which is a pretty big deal. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and if you can, please tell them that we sent you.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, They provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hello, I'm Simon Jack.
And I'm Sing Sing.
And together we host Good Bad Billionaire, the podcast exploring the minds, the motives, and the money of some of the world's richest individuals.
Every episode, we pick a billionaire and we find out how they made their money.
And then we judge them. Are they good, bad, or just another billionaire?
Good Bad Billionaire from the BBC World Service.
Listen now wherever you get your BBC podcasts.
So we start to see on and off campus some of the like sort of immediate social impact.
Yeah.
We see somebody drop that glass bottle in the middle of the crowd.
That's so powerful. But my
room.
question is that a glass bottle of Mountain Dew? Because...
Was it Mountain Dew? I thought it was Snapple.
Oh, I mean, that would make sense to me.
Right.
Snapple. Why'd you say it like that?
I don't know.
I thought it was Snapple. I mean, that would make sense, but it maybe it was. We'll call it Snapple. Somebody was super excited about those fun facts on the inside of the caps. You know what I mean?
God. So we see the bank is closed, but the liquor store is very, very open.
Yeah.
Just a quick note from Joss, the door to the liquor store that we see somebody run inside of, there's nothing behind that. That guy just runs in behind a door that leads nowhere and hides.
But this is, I think that the effectiveness of portraying what happens to a town in a state of chaos, not to get too ahead of myself, because oh boy, I can't wait till we hear the computer that Professor Walsh has to say, get in a state of chaos. But this, like when a switch is flipped and the reality you take for granted is gone, certain things happen. Jenny and I are both people who were either in New York City or adjacent to New York City during 9/11. So I think have some firsthand experience, I know I do, having been in Queens, of some of the things that you see unfold in a city or a town when something happens that changes everything. And we see here that like the whole town is in this like very tragic state. Everybody's moving slowly. Everything's different. Things are closed. There's a religious group, of course, that's united to sort of like be together in that sense. And this is the one that got me the most, is that in record time, there's a man selling message boards. This is real life. Like, this shit is for real. That is exactly what the fuck would happen.
What's wild is, though this episode came out before 9/11, the commentary was recorded after, and he immediately like cites the American flag decals and all of that stuff that began, like, this whole cottage industry sprung up. Suddenly everyone needed one of those. And also I posit, and now I know we don't hear this guy speak, but I feel like his like outfit and his demeanor and the way that he like puts money in his pocket makes me feel like he is part of that vibrant community of Brooklyn transplants to Sunnydale who then open businesses.
The stereotypical he lives in the neighborhood called Little Stereotype of Italy.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And we've already seen Forrest. Forrest is the first person to write something to somebody else in this episode. And with the onslaught of the message boards, we're going to get more of that.
Like when Willow and Buffy get to Giles' house and Willow writes, "Hi, Giles."
Hi, Giles. Isn't it so much? It's because it signifies that moment where Willow just takes that moment to say, "Hi, Giles." It signifies the realization of what they had taken for granted.
Right.
That they could just, and I have the chills, like, talking about that, not just that moment in this scene, but this moment where Giles puts his hand on Buffy's shoulder, the look that she gives to him makes me die. It's so, and this is like, in another avenue, and we're going to get to the kiss pretty soon, but it's like, it's two things, I think. I don't think it's just the fact that they no longer have language, or no longer have, that's not true, they have language, but they don't have their voices. That's one part of this, but it's also that they're in a state of chaos. They're in a really terrifying state. And so the combination of those two things, I think, makes everyone want to express to each other the things that they have not yet expressed or that they haven't expressed enough. They really want to let each other know how much they care. And really nobody can get me much more in this episode than Giles and Buffy. And they usually are the ones that get me the most.
Yep. Then Buffy's like, I see you've written Can't Even Shout, Can't Even Cry from the poem that I told you about from my dream.
Right.
What? We can't shout or cry.
Right.
So there's that. Then Xander gets everybody's attention and turns the volume up on the news.
Yeah.
Learn from the commentary that that's an actual local newscaster.
Oh, wow.
You might remember him from Amends when he's like, we won't see the sun today on Christmas. It's snowing in Southern California.
700 feet today in Southern California. We learned in this newscast that Sunnydale has been quarantined.
For laryngitis.
Yeah, which, come on, that's not how
How dare you.
How it works. And also, there's like this one quick shot to Olivia.
Dude, she's drinking scotch and looking so bummed. Like, why did I pick this weekend? What the fuck?
She's like, I'm fucking stuck in Sunnydale. And we'll kind of, at the end of the episode, get to a little bit more of the Olivia that eventually comes out of this episode, which I think is heartbreaking.
But first we go to Professor Walsh, who's all like fitter, happier, more productive.
It's the same computer,
right? It's the same software.
Yeah,
probably,
we should play.
Right?
Actually, let's play a clip from the Professor Walsh's computer and a clip from Radiohead side by side. Let's see how similar they are.
Sick.
Fitter, happier, more productive.
Because there will be chaos. You will help keep order. Dress as civilians. A military presence would only increase panic.
You know, the first time I was watching this episode and taking notes, I was doing it longhand on a yellow notepad, and then I looked up and saw Riley writing on a yellow notepad, and I was like...
You felt really seen and connected to your hunky boyfriend.
Yeah, I felt seen, I felt connected, I felt like taller and more muscular all of a sudden.
So...
I was like, am I sweatier?
Right.
Riley's like pretty sweaty, like 25-30% of the time.
You were like, am I fitter, happier, more productive?
Truly.
So we go to the town and we see, of course, the other side of a town in chaos is there's garbage can fires suddenly and fire hydrants are exploded.
Interesting how we don't see any women attacking each other.
People are
just men attacking.
Men. That
Interesting.
Is odd.
The patriarchy!
So, of course, then Buffy and Riley meet and they're like, oh my God, this is happening. Do you know what's happening? Riley's trying to break up a fight. Buffy slickly helps without Riley seeing.
I just got Booscumps.
Booscumps. Oh, a case of the Booscumps, Jenny.
I just got goosebumps thinking, damn it, why is this happening to me? I don't even like their theme.
You don't like their theme song?
It's like fun, but so this is another thing that Joss talks about in the commentary. He talks about how he prefers this to the Angel and Buffy love theme, which is more like, as he defines it, straight ahead and romantic, which I guess I just like things that are straight ahead and romantic.
Yeah.
Because I prefer that theme. It feels more emotional, and this one feels like...
Oh, a little bit like cardboard?
Cardboard dipped in butterscotch, maybe.
So then we get a shot of the clock tower, and we see the floating feet.
Wait. They kiss.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
In real life.
I'm so sorry.
They're about to go their separate ways, and then Riley's like, wait.
Yeah.
But silently in his brain.
And they're able to, of course, because they're no longer using their language, they're using everything else to communicate. It's very clear and also very, like, dark. So it's time. The time is now. And this is a much more romantic way to kiss for the first time than in front of the classroom. So I say again, I'm glad for it. And hopefully they'll continue to kiss until Buffy can realize her fantasies of Professor Walsh being involved.
What the fuck?
I'm just saying it's weird. The dream sequence in the beginning makes
out of your mind.
Feel weird. So then we get to the clock tower and floating feet.
Yeah, they're like, we all float up here, Buffy.
Yes, and then we meet the henchmen. We haven't seen how like the muscle behind the gentleman yet, because the gentlemen are too proper, of course, to get any dirt under their fingernails.
Right.
They have these henchmen that are like in straitjackets.
Technically, in the script, I guess they're called footmen, but I call them straitjacket mummies.
Yeah, they remind me of the monkeys in The Wizard of Oz. You know, like the Wicked Witch
totally.
has what are they
the
called?
Flying monkeys.
The flying monkeys.
Or is it winged monkeys? Flying monkeys? Winged monkeys. Monkeys that are able to fly somehow.
Those bad monkeys, you know. The bad monkeys. So they remind me of them. And this is like really... The gentlemen have a creepiness that I think evokes like a Michael Myers.
So,
you know,
they're slow.
Yes. They don't have to chase you. I mean, they are chasing you, but
they don't have to like break a sweat.
Exactly. They have to exert no effort. And
they're like, we'll get to you.
What are they called? The watchmen? The henchmen?
Footmen.
The footmen. The footmen help them by sort of being the ones to run a little faster, pin people down, etc.
Olivia and Giles just had some more sex.
Had some more sex, of course.
And Olivia, hell yeah, wakes up in the middle of the night and like puts a robe on. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow, Jenny.
Sorry.
No, I mean, I'm here with you.
She's just so elegant.
Yes.
And she goes downstairs and once again, like Joss talks here in the commentary about like how the scariest moments are reserved for Olivia and Tara. And this, I think, is arguably maybe the scariest moment in the entire series.
Right.
It's like,
right.
And Matt, you're thinking like, what would it be like to be Olivia, to look out the window? You're visiting your hot older boyfriend. You like see this fucking creepy monster floating, but you're like, well, at least it's like across the street. Oh my God, it's right there.
I jumped. Yeah. You made me jump and I knew what was coming. And also it's not happening to me. But I jumped. It is terrifying. And a lot of you wrote in about this scene. It is horrifying. And of course, only made more terrifying by the fact that she can't scream.
I've probably seen this episode like 25 times. And only in the last like 3 times that I've watched, even the first time that I watched it to like start working on the song, this go round, I like jumped at that.
Yeah. It's real. It's real. And whew. Sorry for Olivia. And then the gentlemen, of course, glide into the dorms and they like are wagging their fingers.
We see a close-up when they're still outside. We see a close-up of the hand curling. Joss talks about how he said to that actor, Don Lewis, who was a mime, give me Nosferatu on the hand. And that's like where that curl comes from.
So creepy.
And dude, Doug Jones's face when they get to room 118,
right?
He's like, I love this room. This is my favorite dorm room.
That's the best part about the gentlemen is that they're like so later when they're proud of each other, they're proud of him for bringing back a heart, and he's like so proud of himself. And they're all clapping.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. Don't make me sing.
It's like I know they're terrifying, but I sort of love them. Like, you know, I sort of love their little crazy, horrible, murderous society.
Yeah,
just a touch. So the henchmen, the footmen, whatever. The evil monkeys hold the student down.
The student wearing matching pajama set.
Of course. And they glide in smiling. The scalpel comes out and it fades to black. But I read, Jenny, that they actually filmed the scene.
Yes.
They couldn't include it. And it's apparently, I don't know how we would ever get our hands on it or if we would want to, but it's apparently terrifying.
I bet somebody out there has it.
You think? Well, send it to us or don't.
I have 2 things to say. First of all, the Victorian like black doctor bag that they're like carrying around. It's like got a scalpel and like 2 jars in it, I guess, probably. But
so well leathered so it won't make a sound.
Oh, totally.
Or well oiled, I should say.
And this scene where we're seeing from the boys' perspective, we're seeing Doug Jones gliding towards him. Okay, so dig it. That is a moment that is from a dream of Joss's.
Yes.
In which a man was floating at him as he was like lying in bed in his dream. So it was very important to him to like shoot it from POV for like extra scary. But that means they had to shoot the ceiling, which means they had to put a ceiling on the room, which they usually wouldn't bother because, you know, lights go up there and stuff.
Right.
Just one of a zillion examples of like how much more went into this episode.
Incredible.
Than your average episode.
Yeah, incredible.
And he also talks about how his mission with this episode was to traumatize a generation of children. He wanted like a generation of children to be like, man, you know what fucked me? Like at the bar, age 35. Man, you know what really fucked me up when I was a kid? The Gentleman from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, mission accomplished.
We're not at a bar, but we will be later, if you know what I mean.
So we see a bunch of jars.
Yes,
and
jars of hearts.
And do you know
a song about
a song?
Jars of
There's a song by Christina Perry that goes, that's about the gentleman, that goes, who do you think you are? Running round, leaving scars, collecting your jar of hearts, and tearing love apart? You're gonna catch a cold from the ice inside your soul. So don't come back for me. Who do you think you are? The gentleman.
And who do you think you are? Running around leaving scars, collecting a jar of hearts and tearing love apart. You're gonna catch a cold from the ice inside your soul. So don't come back for me. Who do you think you are?
I'm so sorry. This is the this is the last thing I'll say for a second. I will let you speak. But I just thought this was also wild. In addition to Nosferatu, visual inspiration for The Gentleman also came from Pinhead from the Hellraiser series and also Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Yes, I read that same thing.
He talks about how he wanted The Gentleman to remind people of what scared them the most as children, and then he posits that children are most afraid of old people.
Well, I was afraid of old people as a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're like, what's up with that? I don't understand that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so far from that it terrifies me. So, okay. Buffy sees that the heart's been removed.
Detective Buffy.
Do you think she's horrified because of the heart or the matching pajamas?
I think she's horrified by how easy it was for her to just slip behind the person who's supposed to be guiding the door, and also the fact that the door is wide open and there's a heartless body laying on a dorm bed.
Yeah. Woof. And then we learn, Jenny, that Olivia can sketch too. And my question to you is, do you think Olivia and Giles sketch together? Do you think they bring their sketch pads to the Sunnydale River bank?
What I think, first of all, great sketch, Olivia, which prompts Giles to say, aha, I've been fucking up. Let me go get my fairy tales
He moves
book.
over the book with the cover that says vampires.
Yeah,
and then he moves over the book that says witchcraft. And he pulls out the book that says fairy tales.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I don't think they sketch together. I don't think Giles wants Olivia to know what his drawings look like. And also, why didn't Olivia help with the slides?
Oh my God. Because. Okay, so Jenny, we're about to get to one of the most noted scenes in the episode where we go to this UC Sunnydale classroom. Now, I enjoy the scene. You enjoy the scene, I assume?
Love it.
Okay, so before we start talking about it, Jenny, I'm going to pause the recording here because I have, unbeknownst to you, brought us 2 dry erase boards. And I want to set up the camera so that we try to tell each other what we think about this scene, but without speaking, and we can only use our dry erase boards 2 times.
Oh my God.
Okay?
Yes.
I just surprised Jenny with this. I didn't tell her what we were doing, but that's the plan. So you can, Jenny and I just did an experiment. We'll put a snippet of it up on socials, and we'll put the full video. It was about 5 minutes of us trying to communicate.
I think I did a great job.
I think we both did a great job. Jenny went heavy on the whiteboard, though. I would have preferred
Use the tools that are available to you.
Well, sure. So you can see the full video if you're a patron of ours at any level, and of course, you will all get to see a highlight from the experience on our social media. You can follow us, of course, at BufferingCast on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We'll put it in all of those places, just in case you prefer one social media outlet over the other. So let's talk about this scene now that we have our voices back, Jenny.
Yeah, Giles puts on his favorite lecture music.
Yo, so and I wish I had written this fact down, but Giles used to be in another show. Not Giles. Anthony Stewart Head used to be on another show that was like about a detective. I don't remember. But this was the theme music to that show where apparently they like solved crimes using logic or solved mysteries using logic. Anyway, there's a it's a little Easter egg of a thing, but the song, and you can tell that I have yet again prepared so well to talk about it.
Wait, what was the takeaway from what you just said?
Just that song is the theme song.
Oh, the song. That song is the theme
song that he's
song.
playing is the
Got
theme
it.
song to this other
He
show.
was like, I brought my own theme music. So he puts that on.
Yeah.
Cracks his knuckles.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm ready. And then probably puts on the first slide backwards.
Right. And also just a moment of appreciation for the era of the overhead projector.
Long may it rain.
You too can have an overhead projector for very little money at almost any Salvation Army or Goodwill near you.
Really?
Every time I go to anything like that, there's always like an overhead projector. Because what? Where are the rest of them? There must be like an overhead projector graveyard. But I loved. And what did you call? What are the little clear sheets called? They had a name.
Oh God.
Cool. We'll leave you with that horrible unknowing that we now have to sit with.
Transparency.
Yes. Oh, she did it. The $1 million question. I loved transparencies. I loved drawing on them. You could draw on them with marker that would wipe away, or you could be like, I'm making this transparency permanent forever. And I believe that Giles went with permanent for these. I hope he did. And I would love to know where the original transparencies
where are these transparencies now?
They have to be worth a lot of money. More money than any other transparency.
Definitely.
So Giles's drawings are hilarious.
They're so funny.
The gentleman that he draws with the fucking doctor bag that he is like,
God.
and that he like, first of all, his use of red marker.
Yeah.
Is incredible.
Truly.
And his execution of drama, like it's like he could have just written down the things he needed to write. Or
also, why do they need to do it at this lecture hall?
I know,
it's so great.
Because they wanted to give us our favorite thing. And it is the scene. So they have some miscommunications. Giles is like, do you know what they're after? Buffy's like, taps her heart. And Xander's like, boobies? He says, boobies. He doesn't say it, but he mouths it.
It's really unfortunate.
It is.
That it's a 2-syllable thing.
Anya is eating popcorn.
Lovely.
Because she's fucking here for the show. I mean, Anya and Spike have a lot of similarities, I think.
Totally.
They're both like ex-demons / ex-vampires, and they're just like, seen it all, been here, done that,
yeah.
don't
Look
give
at
a
these goofy
fuck.
humans
Yeah.
at it again.
Then, of course, we get the most confused moment of all when
Oh my God.
they're like, how do we kill him? And Buffy is like, by
Jerking
giving him a
him
hand
off.
job. Right. If you give a gentleman a hand job,
Oh my God.
then his head
die?
explodes, which is kind of accurate.
Well, actually, yeah, it's not far off.
Kinda, yeah.
Probably.
We think. We've heard.
That's what I've read about.
Right.
Yes.
So, of course, she means maybe with a stake. But what I posit here is Buffy has never used a stake like this in her entire life. You slay forward, not
up and
down.
down.
Right, exactly. But it gives us all a good laugh.
Also, then Willow is like, what about this share CD? Will this share CD kill
She's
them?
like, if we play Believe, will it kill them? Will it kill them?
But alas, no.
Because it
only
almost
a real
killed
human
Buffy. Oh, then Buffy is very annoyed.
Dude, this is like the peak. This might be the peak comedy moment.
Oh my God,
of
where
this
she's
scene.
so mad about her rendering.
What? And
Yeah.
the way that she like moves her hands. Apparently, Sarah Michelle Gellar pitched this moment. That was like her actual reaction to the slide.
Incredible. Oh, incredible. And then there's this beautiful shot at the end of this scene where Buffy is holding the transparency. Thank God you remembered what they're called. And she's holding the transparency, and it sort of like we're focused on Buffy, and then it pulls out and focuses on the transparency, which is just really nice.
Yeah, really nice effect.
And then everybody's suiting up to patrol. The initiative's suiting up. Buffy's ready to patrol.
Yes, Riley sees movement in the clock tower.
You know who else is ready to fucking patrol? Jenny.
Who?
Tara. Tara's ready to patrol.
Wow.
Tara has a list of rooms.
Yes, she's looked up where Willow lives.
Oh.
And she's been doing some research. She's taken some books, whatever. Now this you'll appreciate.
I will.
She takes about 3 steps outside and falls right down. Because she's so clumsy.
She's so clumsy, Tara. So clumsy. Also, it's been brought to my attention by a couple of people that this episode will mark the first in an ongoing relationship of Tara versus doors. Tara apparently is going to have many a struggle with getting a door open. And the first time that happens is here in her first episode.
Right.
Hush. So
before she gets inside to the doors, though,
of course,
when she's picking herself up, and the gentleman and the footmen are in the background.
Yes.
Now, those gentlemen floated around through the fucking dorm halls till they were like, "What's my favorite room?" They're so particular.
They have time. Yeah.
So, what do you think makes like a good heart? To them? Because they see Tara and they're just like, yes. Do you think there's like a purity factor of any kind?
Maybe. Or I was going to actually say like a fear factor, not to be confused with the popular 90s show Fear Factor, or maybe early aughts. But that like, you know how like an animal can smell fear?
Yeah.
Like maybe the gentleman.
But they're just like cruising down a hallway knocking on doors. Like that guy who answered the door that we first saw.
But like
get
everyone's
killed.
afraid because none of them have voices.
But that would make everybody's heart good. And like why bother cruising down the hallway?
What I'm saying is like maybe certain people have a proclivity to be more afraid. What I'm saying is I'd be fucked because I'm more afraid of everything.
Okay.
But maybe you're right. Maybe there's a purity. I mean, we did see matching pajamas on that man, which does, or boy,
does suggest that he's never had sex.
He's pure.
Virgins
right?
only, please.
He's pure. And Tara definitely has like a purity about her from the moment we meet her, like an innocence. I think.
Yep.
So maybe that is what it is. The pure heart.
Okay, then Tara's running around banging on doors.
Oh my God, she's knocking on all the doors, and this is like a study in humans who don't come to the aid of other humans at the risk of themselves here, because all of the people in their dorm rooms are like, fuck whoever that is. Could be somebody bad, or like, I'm not going to get involved. And no one opens the fucking door, of course, except for Willow. Before we get there, I just want to say Buffy with the crossbow. It's like her weapon of choice this season, I feel like, right?
Oh, it's so impractical.
And then I thought that Riley's weapon was a thing that would shoot a stake. Like it looked like it was a stake in a gun.
Right. But instead it's just like
it's a Ghostbusters.
Yeah. It's a blaster.
Riley's one of the Ghostbusters.
Yep.
So Tara sort of knocks on the door, and the way they set this up is you think that she's knocking on Willow's door because we've seen Willow hearing the knock, but turns out she's actually knocked on the door of the place that the gentlemen have just taken another heart. So they open the door and they're holding a heart, and she's like, fuck this shit. And she starts running at the same moment that Willow comes out, and of course, clumsy part 2.
So clumsy.
Oh, God.
Oops, I just ran right into you.
Oh, my goodness. Ladies piling on ladies accidentally in the hallway. They stand up and they run, and Tara is like, it's really subtle, but Tara's like super protective of Willow in this moment. Like you can see Amber Benson pushing Allison Hannigan. Like you can see her like sort of like guiding her out the door to, of course, also exit. But it just feels protective.
It feels protective, but also look, it's just impractical. That's not how you run when you're running away from something.
But they're not just running away. They've just fallen and like they're discombobulated.
Oh, right.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
I'm here. Fucking zigzag part 1, and I'm here for it all. Okay, so Buffy's in the clock tower. Riley's in the clock tower.
This shit gave me more goosebumps. God damn it.
More booscumps?
More booscumps.
The crossbow faces the Ghostbuster taser, and there's the reveal. And we cut to black. We cut to commercial. And now you're going to be like, hefty, 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 wimpy, wimpy, wimpy.
Wow.
Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Or like a commercial where like the Kool-Aid man breaks through the door.
Yeah. Or just some more herbal essences commercials.
Yes.
Starring Olivia.
So, wow. So we cut back in on this scene, and like as two fighters would do, right? They're both trained to fight. They're like, holy shit, what the fuck? But they're like, not now. Now we have to fight. And we get a moment that I enjoy where like Buffy swings across on the rope and Riley has to take a minute because he's like, damn.
Yep.
Very impressed. I also read that in this final fight scene, you might be delighted to hear
that Mark Bucas does all his own stunts?
Yes.
Yes, I know.
I want you to know that Jenny's sitting in a chair with arms, and while that came out of her body, she pushed her body up out of the chair. Like, I don't think your butt was even on the seat anymore. She was pushing up on the arms. She got very excited. So that's pretty cool. Points for Mark Bucas. Points, and Spike, James Marsters did some of his own stunts as well earlier in the season, I believe.
Nice.
So, like, great work, everyone. So whatever. The biggest reveal of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Giles has not one, but 2 green mugs, Jenny. 2 green mugs.
Wow, he's got a set.
He has a set.
Notice that none of the Sunnydale kids are ever drinking out of a green mug.
I
He's like,
think
that mug is for company, and company is Olivia.
Jenny, I think that in addition to the fact that we are revealed not only the 2 green mugs, but that we think that perhaps the person who gave him those green mugs is Olivia, and Olivia is here in this episode. I believe that we should call upon a very, very infrequently played jingle.
A rare beast.
The green mug song.
Seldom seen and heard.
Well, it's a green mug song from the bottom of our hearts. This very handsome glassware will answer every mug prayer, and Giles can drink in style, and Giles can drink in style.
Oh, lovely. You didn't think you were going to get that in this episode.
Sure didn't.
But boy, did ya.
Wow.
I personally think the zigzag part deserves a jingle. Just gonna say. Just a little one. Like a Detective Angel.
Busy.
Just like a Detective Angel kind of a little snippet. You know, not something big. Just a little. Oh, it's a bit. It's a. Okay.
You make jingles sometimes.
Not only do we get 2 green mugs, but immediately after we get the 2 green mugs, Spike is going into the fridge for the Kiss the Librarian mug. We get it again this
so
week.
Many mugs.
Full of blood already, like prepped for him. Do you think he prepped it for himself, or do you think Giles preps it for Spike?
I think Giles preps it for Spike.
And of course, Spike takes a sip, vamps out, because delicious pig's blood.
Yep.
And Xander walks in, and the way that Spike is over Anya and Anya's asleep, Xander thinks that Spike has killed Anya, or at least fed off of Anya. And he loses his shit.
Hell yeah.
Right? And Anya is like, hell yeah. Like, and this is the kind of like the Buffy Riley kiss moment of like, we saw that when they could speak to each other, they were not communicating the things that the other one needed to hear. Namely, that Xander was not able to communicate his feelings for Anya to Anya. But in this moment, of course, his feelings are very clear. And my favorite part about this moment, Jenny, is that after it's realized, of course, that no, Spike has not fed off of Anya, and Anya's like, oh my God, but you love me. You really love me. We see Olivia looking so excited about them kissing. She's so excited. She's like, oh, yeah.
No.
Uh-huh. You go back. Check the tape.
Okay.
Check the tape. It's there.
I think that the adults in the room are just happy that the young people have...
Oh, please. Giles could give a fuck. Giles is so over everything. Anyway. And then, of course, Anya's like, do you want to have sex? But uses the very known gesture of...
See, what you do is you make a circle with your left forefinger and thumb.
It has to be your left?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you point your pointer finger of your right hand, and then wait, pointer finger? No.
Yeah.
Index finger.
No.
Right? Index is your first finger, pointer is your middle.
What? What the hell? This is your pointer finger. It's the finger you point with. Oh my God. Jenny's Google search history. Mark Blucas in shirt, Mark Blucas in no shirt. What is a pointer finger? Your index finger is your ring finger, I thought.
No, your index finger, according to this fucking...
Is also your pointer
is your
finger?
pointer finger / forefinger.
Do you think... Wow, that's way too many names for one finger. Do you think that it's your pointer...
/ trigger finger / digitus secundus / digitus 2 and
Careful
many
with
other
all that
terms.
Latin, Jenny. You're going to conjure a demon. Okay, well, regardless.
Okay, whatever. You take your first finger and your left on your thumb and make a circle, and then you take your other first finger on your right hand and jam it in there. Jam it in the hole.
Stop doing that so violently, Jenny. Oh, there is. Yes, of course, this is only symbolic of either penis in vagina or penis in butt sex.
I think
or finger in hole sex.
Listen, I think it could be any kind of...
You think it could be
oblong?
Oh, like it could be dildo in...
Sure.
It's penetrative sex.
Yes.
Why are you sad?
Well, because I felt like, should I not have been just talking about penetrative sex?
You can talk about penetrative? Is that what?
I should
Penetrative?
go. I'll just see myself out.
You're allowed to talk
Penetrative.
about sex that penetrates.
Okay.
As it is a form of sex, just not the only form. However,
True.
That gesture is definitely used more often than any other gesture to denote sex. And I heard that the network was kind of pissed about this being in the episode.
Yes, but they let it slide because it was too funny.
They let it slide for humor.
Hard to argue with that.
Don't worry, we're getting to perhaps the next best part of the episode, where Willow and Tara, they've gotten in the room and they need to block the door. And luckily, I guess what happened, Jenny?
What happened?
When the snake went through the high school and then they blew up the high school. Destroyed. Everything destroyed. Except the vending machine. And they were like, damn, this vending machine lasted through the snake and the explosion. We should put that at the college.
Yeah.
So the same vending machine that used to serve cold drinks for the high school now serves cold drinks at the college. And Willow can't move it with her strength. And then she sits down and she's like... I'm going to use my powers, not to help Amy, but to help myself. I'm going to move the vending machine. And she tries, and it's wiggling. And Tara is like, I'm really feeling something here. Maybe we should hold hands. The shot of them intertwining hands is certainly the sexiest thing that happens in this episode.
It's the most X-rated moment in television history.
I'm sorry, that gesture Anya did holds not a candle to the fingers of Willow and the fingers of Tara intertwining, and then their forces combine, and they reveal what lesbian sex is for the first time on television.
Yes, moving a vending machine telekinetically
across the room. It's amazing how many vending machines that we have had to find in our lives.
Yeah, and also how many shows have gotten it wrong.
I know. I mean, it's typical, representation matters, and we don't get it really many places. But here, for first and perhaps the only time, we see what lesbian sex truly looks like.
Thank you, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You know who I bet wants to talk about this? You know who? I think Kate Leth would like to ASMR her way into our eardrums, talking about some fashion and probably talking about vending machines.
Nice.
It's time for our friend Kate to give you the Buffy fashion update.
Hello and welcome to Buffy Fashion Watch. Today we're going to be talking about Season 4, Episode 10, Hush. Hush. If you're finding yourself unsettled by the gentlemen and their footmen, take a moment to relax, center, focus. Think about Tara's center part, Willow's gauzy red shirt, Buffy's bright pink top, Giles in everything he wears, always. It's all right. It's okay. When I first watched this episode, I was 11 years old, and I got pulled out of school for falling asleep because I'd been awake for three nights straight. So if you're worried or scared, just picture your hand and my hand intertwining as we move a vending machine with the power of our beautiful gay witchcraft. Focus on your breathing. There's nothing outside. Then again, how will you know unless you go ahead and peek out? See? It was just your imagination. Until next time, I'll see you at the mall.
That was our friend Kate. She gave you the Buffy fashion update.
Wow, I can't believe what it feels like to have ear sex. You know what I mean?
I gotta go.
I'm sorry. It was my first understanding. I was like, now it's my only understanding. Kate, Leth, thank you. And also like, ooh.
And also, So
Riley's a Ghostbuster.
Right.
Buffy's like, break the box. Riley's
oh my
like,
God.
I got it.
Slow-mo, hero moment. I'm gonna smash the wrong thing.
Yep, of course.
And the way that he like looks at her after he does it, he's like,
he's so.
Did I do a good job?
Yeah, he's a total Labrador. And she's like, oh. She's literally like, men, am I right? And she's like, no, you dummy. And then she uses her hands to be like, the box. And he smashes the box. And everyone's voices are returned. And she knows, thank goodness, because of transparencies, that the thing that will kill the gentleman is the sound of a human scream. Now, Jenny, this is not Sarah Michelle Gellar screaming.
Though she did scream her head off.
So do you know from watching the director's commentary what happened here? Because I didn't find it on the internet. The internet told me this was not Sarah Michelle Gellar's scream. Someone wrote into us and said, I think that they made this scream not as, because we've talked at length. I've talked about my love of a good horror scream. And one of our listeners wrote in and said, you might be disappointed because it's not a great horror
It's more
scream.
of a yell.
And this listener of ours posited that perhaps that was done intentionally because Buffy has never screamed in distress in her whole life. I don't know, but what do you know?
Well, what I got from the director's commentary was that they foleyed in someone else's scream for the sustain.
Oh.
Because that's a long scream.
It is a long scream. But why? I guess whatever. I would love to hear the scream that Sarah Michelle Gellar did. Wouldn't you?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, anyway, wishing and hoping won't get us anywhere, Jenny. Let's just talk about the reality of the episode. We got this scream, and it does what it's supposed to do. Now, you haven't seen Everything Sucks yet, but you need to get on that train. There's a great moment in the film that they make in Everything Sucks where they use a watermelon, and they explode a watermelon, but they like paint it to look like the alien's head, and it's this great whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, I just finished the series and it reminded me of the way that their heads explode. Really effective, really hilarious. It's like funny, like it's gross, but it's I think comedic.
Then
everything is restored to normal.
Yeah, then Willow's like, why were you looking for me? And Tara's like,
oh my God, Willow's
I thought we could do a spell.
Come on, everybody. Like, is there anything more gay than being like, so why were you looking for me? Like, literally everything was just, you were almost dead. Like, everybody would, and you're like, so.
No, you know what's even gayer?
What?
When Willow's like, I'm nothing special. And Tara's like, no, you are.
Literally, her voice drops 5 octaves.
It's really intense.
No, you are. So we'll just have to see.
Yes, it seems exciting over in that corner.
What kind of witchcraft happens with these two?
Over in the Giles and Olivia corner, though, things are not looking so promising.
This is so sad. So basically, Olivia's like, so all that shit you told me, like, was for real? And Giles is like, yeah, like, these are, like, the monsters are real. The demons are real. And she says, scary. And he says, too scary? And she says, I don't know.
No.
And then we all sob. Because Giles deserves to have a lover.
He just can't have anything nice.
I know. This is really sad. And then, I'm so sad. We're getting to the end of the episode. Good thing we have 2 episodes on Hush.
Yeah.
So then after Giles breaks our hearts, we, of course, go to Riley and Buffy, who have communicated better in this episode than they've communicated in any episode. But now their voices have returned, and this big reveal has happened. They know that the other is not just a normal boy or a normal girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Riley's sort of like, so I guess we should talk.
And Buffy's like, guess we should.
And then?
They don't.
They sure don't. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next episode. But this is very poignant, very, I don't know. I think it just underlines the entire theme of the episode. The silence at the end of the episode, the, like, chosen silence, right? Like, that before it was silent because they could not speak. And now it is silent because they cannot speak. A different kind of cannot speak.
Yeah.
They're afraid, of course, right? Like, they really like each other. And
also, what happened after the clock tower? They just were like, well, see you tomorrow.
Meet you back at the dorm.
Bye.
Yeah. But yeah, and we come to the end of one of the best episodes of the series.
Hooray!
And we had a hard time figuring out who to nominate for sexual tension, but let's play the jingle and get into this before we bid you adieu.
Sexual tension award.
We're taking this episode to root us back in a land where sexual tension awards go to human people.
2 human people.
To 2
or
human
more.
or 3, right. But the sexual tension award has become populated as of late with many inanimate objects, and I'm not yucking anyone's yum here. But Jenny and I did a lot of discussing, and we decided let's ground this one in some, like, old school sexual tension awards.
Yeah.
And Jenny, what do we have?
Well, here are the Sexual Tension Award nominees for this episode. Hush. We've got Olivia and Giles.
Hot.
Everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Anya and Xander.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. We've got Tara and Willow doing a sexy vending machine spell together.
Vote. Sorry.
And we've got, in the 4th slot, for your voting pleasure, Olivia and all of us.
Yes, indeed. I know who I'm voting for, but whatever. Also, I want to let you know that it was really hard for me not to nominate. We had other options. These will not be listed, but I thought that The Gentleman in Hearts was up. I thought Spike in Blood should have been a gimme. Still kind of up there with Giles and Xander's mom. And I also kind of think that Olivia, Anya, and Xander wanted to do a little thing.
God.
Thought about nominating Buffy and Riley, but figured no one would vote for them.
Never.
Like a few people, and then they'd feel sad because,
Yep.
So a lot of sexual tension to go around. Thought maybe about doing it between all of us and Kate Leth's Fashion Watch.
Sure.
But that's not canon, so
Nope.
How to leave that one out. Anyway, you can follow us on Twitter at BufferingCast. To vote in the Sexual Tension Awards. And Jenny, normally we wait until the poll is closed to announce the winners from the week prior. Let's just announce what the winners are right now. If it changes, we'll have to come back and re-record.
Right. But if it stays
stays the same, we'll keep it.
Please tell me who won.
Okay, Jenny. So, as of today, now there's still 2 days left. Anything could change. But right now, tied for 3rd place with 5% of the votes, Buffy and Riley's Arms. Sure, good contender.
5%.
And Anya and Xander's mom. They both have 5% as of today.
Oh, God.
As of this recording. And neck and fucking neck have been Should I read it? I'll tell you the neck and neck, and then you can drum roll me to the winner. Spike and Passions, the television show, has been battling it out with Buffy and Spike. I will remind you, this is something blue. This is Spike and Buffy
making out the whole episode.
Right. Maybe people are like, well, they didn't have any tension there. Anyway, right now, in second place with 43% of the vote is Spike and Passions. With 47% of the vote, Buffy and Spike have taken it. Will it last? Well, if you hear the jingle again right after we're done talking, then it lasted. And if you hear us say, ha 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 hi, then you know perhaps there was an upset.
Oh my God.
Sexual attention award.
Wow.
Well.
That is our first episode for Hush. Tune back in next week for our second episode.
You really want to tune in. Doug Jones, Camden Toy, and a long discussion about the incredible work done, Jenny, by you and Rishi on this week's song. And I will say that you'll notice when we get to the song in just a few minutes that there's some instrumentation where perhaps lyrics would have been. And Jenny and Rishi, and you'll hear more about this process next week as well, wrote the full song with the lyrics. And so next week, in addition to getting those interviews, in addition to learning about the creation of this song, you'll also get the song with all the lyrics in it, which is pretty rad.
Yes. 2 songs, no waiting, except 1 week of waiting. Yes. Okay, cool. So, I am Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not making this podcast with Kristin, I'm usually watching an episode of Buffy 5 times in a row so that I can then talk about it with Kristin. But also sometimes I write songs and record them. You can learn more about me and my jams at jennyowenyoungs.com/buffering, and you can give me a shout on Twitter at Jenny Owen Youngs.
Yes, and I am Kristin Russo, but my middle name is Nolene. And because of the ease in which you can spell it, I've chosen to use it as my website and also all of my social handles. So you can learn more about me and the things I'm doing when I'm not talking to Jenny about Buffy and our second watch of Buffy, our third and fourth and fifth watch of this week's episode of Buffy. I am helping LGBTQ young people and their families find the resources they need, find the advice they need. We just recently passed National Coming Out Day, and I was really excited. I did a compilation of all the resources that I've worked on with some brilliant people over the years. And, you know, it's fun sometimes to kind of see the scope of the work. And there's some really good shit. So you can learn about that work that I do on my website. That's Kristin Noeline, KristinNoeline.com. You can also use that to find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Kristin Noeline. And check out mykidisgay.com. My Kid is Gay is a resource for parents, for loved ones, for educators, basically for anyone who knows somebody who's LGBTQIA or just wants to learn more about the community. There's some really great resources over there that you should check out. And that's the end of my rant, Jenny.
Tight rant. Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at BufferingCast. You can always email us at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com, and Kristin will read it and then tell me about it.
Yeah, it's true. I forward Jenny some emails and tell her about others. We have a great system.
I love the system.
You can support us and our work. And let me say something. A lot of you do support us, and it's enabling us to do some really cool shit.
Holy flip.
Right? Because, like, I mean, it enables us to record. It enables us to spend time producing the show. It lets me reach out to people and book them for interviews. But recently, it's been allowing us to also book some interviews where I will be traveling to some really fun places to talk to some really fun people in the coming few months.
It's gonna rock!
And that is because of the support that you give us. And it's really impactful is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you make it possible for us to make a better show.
You do.
Thank you.
Truly. And we're all just having the best time doing it. You can support us financially over on Patreon. Just go to our website, bufferingthevampireslayer.com. Click on Patreon, and you'll see that there are 4 different levels of giving. You get also really cool shit for giving. You can be a part of the community, part of the secret Facebook group for just giving $1 a month. At $5, you get the music in advance, and you'll also get both of the songs, right? The without lyrics and the with lyrics versions of Hush.
Sure.
We recently did a Buffy watch of Hush with everyone. All of these things happen in the land of Patreon. There's merchandise discount codes. There are Q&A videos. There's exclusive merchandise, which just shipped out just a couple weeks ago. So really fun stuff. Speaking of merchandise, that's another great way to support us. We have some pretty badass stuff. I'm really excited about our store. We have socks now. Hopefully very soon we're going to have the diner mugs back in because they sold out.
So great.
We have a new Buffy Forever shirt that's on a football jersey shirt, and it's really fucking cool. I love it so much. There's a support your local alewife. There's a support your local girl gang. There's Smash the Demon Lizard Patriarchy in 2 designs. There's a ton of shit over there. You can find it by going to bufferingthevampireslayer.com and clicking on shop or store. I don't remember. You'll figure it out. And last but not least, if you don't have any money, that's totally chill too. Go on over to iTunes and rate and review us, or rate and review Angel on Top, our sister podcast about Angel, hosted by Brittany, Ashley, and Laura Zach. Those reviews help us a ton, especially when they're good reviews. They help us build our community, help people find the podcast, help us get written up in places like Esquire and Time, which happened this year. It's been a really fun year for us, and so much of that has to do with all of you.
Thanks. And till next time.
I've been up all night. I've been pacing, lost and tongue-tied. What's the word to reveal all the unsaid things I feel? But I keep quiet, can't even try it. If you knew the truth, where I go at night without you. If you saw the scars and heard all the ugly parts, would you still want me? How it haunts me. Try to tell you, my voice gets caught. I've been breaking down doors to reach you, but the words stay locked.
we're here, hear me out. Here's the part that I've left out. I'm gonna tell you. Okay. I'm gonna tell you.
I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't you love it when you find a new podcast you really like? Well, let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm Mike Carruthers, the host, and in every episode, you'll hear fascinating information that will make your life better from top experts. Recently, we've done episodes on why you have the personality you do, the science of luck, and the psychology of a restaurant menu. You're going to like Something You Should Know. We have literally thousands of 5-star reviews. Look for Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts.